I am Molly Maloney Conway. I am a mother and a wife.
My name's Mark Conway. I'm an attorney. I had a great childhood. Grew up with 5 brothers and sisters. We were 3 boys, 3 girls. Just like the Brady Bunch. Just not quite in that order. It was 3 girls first and then 3 boys. I was number 5 of 6. I guess that'd be Peter Brady. Delete that. Don't even put that in.
I was born the youngest of 10 to Bob and Eileen Maloney, who are just a beautiful couple. But my mother unfortunately died when I was 6, and she was only 46 years old. She died in 1971. That's when fathers didn't do anything. You know, they were not involved in the day-to-day life like parents are now, like fathers are now. He was a non-drinking, non-smoking Don Draper. That's what he was. The most important thing that I think that parents can do is to love their children. And my father loved every one of his children. And that's all you had to know. He did a great job.
Well, my senior year, I played running back or tailback and cornerback, defensive back.
I was the captain of the cheerleaders. Sure. Senior year, big deal. Big deal. It was fun, but I just didn't take it that seriously.
My sister was marrying her brother, and we first met at the engagement party the day before the wedding.
And they got married in 1980, June of 1980. And the night before it was the rehearsal dinner, and that was held at my sister Morgie's house. And he walked in the door, and I was only 16 years old, and I thought, that guy's in trouble.
And I immediately thought she was a pretty attractive girl. I'm not gonna lie.
Because I thought it was really, I mean, you're only 16 and you're kids, but it was an immediate attraction. I thought that guy's in trouble. I feel bad for him.
But then at the wedding the next night, and she took advantage of me.
He was kind of shy then, and I was never shy. And at the wedding, we were all having a great time, and everybody's dancing, and Mark was off in the corner. And I saw him talking to like a 90-year-old aunt, and I was like, we're having so much fun. And I went over, and I grabbed him by the hand, and I said, we're gonna dance. I was like, let's dance. And he came over.
She chased me out on the dance floor.
And we've been dancing ever since.
Well, we've been together almost ever since. So that was 34 years ago. I have 7 children. 4 boys and 3 girls. Kelly, my oldest, she's going to be 24 in June. She's a great girl. Very, very mature, always has been.
And Kelly is somebody that I always say that I want to be more like when I grow up.
Max, he's very different than Kelly.
Max makes me laugh.
He's probably more like me. He likes to have a lot of fun.
He is kind. He's loyal. He loves his mother. He loves his siblings. He is the kid that you would want to be your best friend.
Maddie's our special one. She was born at 2 pounds, 4 ounces. Probably wasn't supposed to be born, except for the drive and determination of her mother.
Maddie was born a twin. Maddie, when I was pregnant, we were lucky enough to find out we were having twins, and we were having twin girls. But then, very unfortunately, at 20 weeks, things went wrong with the pregnancy, and I lost her twin sister. You know, the doctors really just said, there's nothing we can do. You know, we're just gonna take the baby now, the other baby. And that's when I was like, you know, we're not going this route.
My wife, through sheer will and determination, kept Maddie in her womb in order for her to develop for that period of time from September.
So I laid in that bed, and I wouldn't let them touch the baby. I wouldn't let anything happen, and miraculously, like the cervix closed up and it turned into a single pregnancy. She was born at 2 pounds, 4 ounces, and she turned into a beautiful young woman who does have cerebral palsy, but only, you know, her legs. She needs a scooter, but she's very smart, and she's very beautiful. And I'm very proud of her. Jack is the boy that is our MacGyver. Jack can do anything.
Quite often it's not successful, but he gives it a try, and I just sit back and laugh
He was jumping out of a crib at a year. Like, you just could not stop him. He does everything. He's another one I'd like to be like. He just can do anything.
Bobby's our musician of the family. He's different than all the other, they're all different. Every one of the kids are different. But he's probably different in more of an artistic way, where he started playing the piano a couple of years ago by watching it on YouTube.
And I love nothing more than piano music. And he sits down at that piano and he plays just by ear. One day he decided he wanted to play the piano, and now he just plays that piano and he makes you want to cry. It's so beautiful. Caroline is exactly like me. She is my clone.
Sweet Caroline is she's now a 13-year-old version of her mother.
I didn't see it at first, and like maybe when she was maybe 5 months old, I remember looking at her at the bed, on my bed, laying on the bed, and I thought, oh my God, she is me. She looks just like me.
Every time I look at her, she reminds me exactly of her mother. She's got the same facial expressions. She gets mad at me for the same things her mother does, so.
And that's the good and the bad. Like, the things that annoy me most about her are the things that are the most like me, and I think I just annoy myself.
Patrick's 9, and he's the baby of the family. And unfortunately for him, I suppose we still treat him as the baby of the family.
He just lights up our house. He's an internally happy person. My kids are all happy. All of them really have an internally happy gene. I was always a happy person, as was Mark. We dance in my kitchen half the nights after dinner. It's like, turn the music on, we clean the kitchen, we all have a good time, and we dance. Honestly, we have I have been so blessed. We have a very, very happy house.
We went to Hyde Park, New York. Molly had said before to me, but she was saying again, I don't know, Mark, there's something not right with my vision.
Not even much, just enough that I was just a little bit dizzy, and like if a car passed by, you couldn't focus on who was in the car.
And I, of course, was just saying, it's probably just your contacts, see an eye doctor, quit whining and enjoy our trip. And I didn't give it two thoughts other than, it's probably your contact or eyeglass prescription.
I started with the doctor I thought it was an ear infection. Thought maybe a little vertigo. I thought then that didn't pan out. Then I thought contacts, it must be my contacts are all screwed up. Went to an ear, nose, and throat.
And that doctor really didn't see anything, but he said, just to be safe, why don't you go for an MRI of your brain?
I went for an MRI on Friday, October 21st. And Mark and I went up and still didn't think too much about it, but obviously you're always nervous. 3:20, 2:45 that afternoon, the phone rings and I'm driving Maddie home from school. And the doctor says to me, this is Dr. So-and-so. I hope you're not driving a car right now because I have really bad news for you. And I was like, well, I am driving a car right now, but I have always been a pretty strong person. I said, but yes. And he said, well, we did find there were 2 lesions on your brain that are consistent with metastatic cancer. In a moment, your life blows up.
The girls in my office said, Mark, your wife wants to talk to you. It's kind of an emergency. And I just said, Molly, what's up? And she was crying. And she said, you have to get home right now. I just got a doctor's report, or the doctor just called me, and it's serious. So I dropped the phone, ran right past the client, because I knew at that point I could tell in her voice that something was very serious, but I had no clue.
Got home, 2:45, all the kids are home. They're just getting in the door, and your life just blew up in front of you. It was a real punch to the gut. If there's any doctors in the room, that's not the way to handle a situation. Don't say, I hope you're not driving a car, because I have really bad news for you.
So I got home, drove up our driveway, and she was in the back sitting on her wall. And she said, you just got off the phone with this ear, nose, and throat doctor. He said, well, it's very serious. The MRI came back, and you have some lesions on your brain. And it might be cancer that spread to your brain from somewhere else.
Unfortunately, the doctor that so eloquently said to me, I hope you're not driving a car, called my house. And Caroline, who at that time was 11, said, you know, is your mom there? And she said, oh no, she just went to pick up my sister at school. And he said, it's an emergency. I really need to talk to her right away. Do you have her cell phone number? So they knew that I was going for an MRI in the morning. So they knew that it wasn't good. So I didn't even have that luxury to talk to even process it myself like all the kids knew. They're like, the doctor just called and said it was an emergency. And obviously I'm ashen at this point. Like, you know, your blood runs from your face. So now there are no secrets from the beginning. There was no chance to handle anything other than how it was dealt. That was it.
You know, we were not ready for that at all. Neither one of us had cancer in our families. Molly always exercised, ate well, never smoked, and she was very conscious about her health. Really, we didn't know what to do is kind of where we're at when I got home.
They did have me go right down to my primary doctor, who was of no help either. She just sat and rocked uncontrollably saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, to the point that Mark and I are looking at each other like, this isn't good, you know.
Well, we were there to find out what we were going to do. I turned around in the exam room, and on my cell phone, I called my brother and just said, get Edward Cullen's phone number.
Edward Cullen is a close friend, close personal friend, and he's a top doc in Washington, D.C.
And within seconds or minutes, he called me back with the phone number, and I called him. But that was kind of when we knew we had to take some things. And, you know, you have to take charge of your own life, and you have to take charge of your own medical care.
Right then and there, Mark got it right into action, and he got a doctor that could handle it, that could handle the situation for us.
Probably within an hour of finding out what was going on, that we were just like, hey, you've got to charge ahead and make sure you're getting the best care you can.
So all this was in a half hour. You know, it all happened very quickly.
One of the issues at that point is, where did the cancer come from?
At that point, even though it went to the brain, you have no idea where it's coming from. It could come from anywhere. You know, so you had to find the source. That's the biggest thing. They didn't think that it was just a brain tumor. They thought that it was something that traveled to the brain. Edward Cullen, fortunately, he talked us off the bridge. You know, he was like, look, there's treatments. We're gonna get you taken care of. We're gonna find out where we can go from here. Instead of just like throwing you into the wind saying, it's really bad. Sorry, you know.
Later that night, when I did talk to Edward Cullen, he's like, no, you need to get a PET scan, and that will show where the cancer's coming. So all over the weekend, we really, you know, you were left without any options, without any kind of plan. And that weekend, I will tell you, that was probably the darkest of our times.
You know, so Friday diagnosed, bad day, bad night. Saturday, just trying to get your bearings and talking to different people and saying, let's keep your powder dry here. Let's wait and see what happens. We don't know. We had no idea what we were dealing with yet.
One of the things when you get these kinds of a diagnosis, you need to have a plan, and you need to have some hope, and you need to have some direction. When you're just left for a whole weekend with no direction and no plan, other than you're very, very sick, it's unsettling, to say the least. But we went to church on Sunday, and she got out of, you know, it was hard getting out of bed. It was hard to move those first couple of days. But going to church was very important. Our two kids in Philadelphia came up, so we were all together, all 9 of us went to church.
I am very religious. I'm very spiritual. I'm very religious. I was born with great faith, I'll put it that way. So I went to church on Sunday morning at St. Paul's, and the priest that was saying the Mass, the poor guy, I feel bad for him, because after Mass, you know, you're just standing there trying to keep it together, and this poor priest comes off the altar after the Mass was over, and I didn't even plan on doing it, obviously, and I just went over to him, and I was like, I need help. I need help.
Poor Monsignor Delaney came off the altar at the end of church, and Molly went over and accosted him.
And he gave me a blessing right then and there, and from then on, you know, and it's funny because I am usually, and I am a very private person. I really am a very private person. It's so bizarre that all this has happened to me and that I'm like now telling everybody everything. So from there on, it just all, it's a small town. It just all traveled fast.
Ann Ruddy and my sister-in-law, Ann Conway, put together a rosary that Sunday night over at Marywood, the IHM Center in the back.
We had a beautiful woman there that said the rosary, and she just gave a very spiritual woman. She just gave a beautiful speech, a beautiful talk, a very inspirational talk. There were probably, I don't know, there must have been 400 people in the church, in the chapel. It was beautiful.
The place was standing room only. And then at the end, Molly stood up and said she was ready to fight this. And she said she was in it to win it. And then we all have bracelets, actually, that say in it to win it. But that was the first time I saw Molly stand up like a champion. And then I knew, I did know she was going to fight this like crazy.
I remember that weekend that I was diagnosed. Friday, I kind of got through it fine, and it was kind of like we had a loving in my bed that night, like all my kids. We were like 9 of us around my bed, you know, it's about to break, but we just laid there and we watched movies that night, and we just like chilled out. And that night I did not sleep much. But you know what, after that I did. That Sunday night I had the prayer service. I slept like a baby that night because you know what, you felt it. I had the support, I had the faith, I had the positive attitude.
But in those first 6 days, we really had no idea what we were up against, what the diagnosis was, and what we were going to do to try and take care of the diagnosis.
The morning of, we were going to go see all the doctors. All the tests were in, all the test results were in. But that morning when I woke up before I got to the doctor's office, I was almost ready to send Mark alone because I thought, I can't even bear it. I can't even bear to hear what they're going to say. I swear to God, I woke up that morning and I just heard like, it was the Rocky sound going like da 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 da, and like as fearful as I was and how ready I was to just say, Mark, you got to just go and find out what we have to do. I heard that voice saying, get up, and not in a real nice voice, like in a real stern, hard voice. Get up, and I did, and I got up, and I'm telling you, and I do think I wonder to myself who that voice is. I'm not sure who it is. But it's somebody in the back of my brain saying, get up. Because of my husband, and only because of my husband, because he worked tirelessly for that whole week. By Friday, I was already being treated. So 1 week later, we knew this story. We knew it was colon cancer, stage 4 colon cancer, went to the liver, went to the brain.
You know, I think cancer is a very, it leads people to be very, very compassionate. We feel as though we've gotten great care at the places we've been to. Even right now, we're pushing forward, trying to get better care, trying to go different places and see other experts to see, you know, I like to say we don't leave any stone unturned. If we didn't know people like that initial Friday, I don't know if Molly would be here right now.
So by the next Friday, I started undergoing, I had 10 rounds of radiation on the brain. And that did take care of the 2 lesions that were there. And that took care of the dizziness, and that was my only symptom. Then, right after that, immediately following the 10 treatments of radiation that were just right in a row, by the following Tuesday, then I started chemotherapy, the big guns chemotherapy. That took care of the tumor in the colon. That was totally eradicated, totally gone. Still, the doctors they don't even believe that the tumor was ever there, but it was there. But that's how well that chemo worked. And it took care of most of the liver. So we cleared the brain, we cleared the tumor in the colon, and we got rid of most of the liver, but the liver has been our problem. I am, right now, as we speak, I'm undergoing my 25th round of the heavy-duty chemotherapy because that liver we just can't get a hold of. I had half my liver removed. Then it came back after that. I enjoyed, I think, 2 weeks of cancer-free. So I enjoyed it was 2 big weeks, but then by the next test it showed that it was starting up again. So then we were on oral chemotherapy, and now after my last visit, which wasn't really good with the liver again, we're back on the big guns chemotherapy.
Molly's inability to let go of the fact that she just felt dizzy. Her eyes weren't right. And her pursuing that and pursuing it even when I was telling her, oh, it's just your eyes, don't worry about it. It's funny when you're able to say, and I've said it 1,000 times, that the brain tumor is what saved her life.
Honestly, it's not bad. For me, and I know for many people it is very bad, but honestly, I mean, I just went through today 4 hours of intravenous chemotherapy, and right now I am hooked up, and I'll have 48 hours more of chemotherapy. And I honestly can say I feel 100%. And I know it's hard to believe. I know it's very hard to believe. And this is my 25th round of heavy-duty, big-time chemotherapy. And I, honest to God, feel fine.
She has heard from people around the world that they're praying for her. And I mean literally around the world. People in South America, people over in Europe, throughout the country, especially when she was first diagnosed. It was, we were getting mail from all over. We had the whole Schuylkill Federal Prison praying for Molly. As they like to say, how's Sister Molly doing? And Molly appreciated those prayers, I think, as much as the sisters over at IHM, because as she said, maybe God's listening to the bad boys a little closer. The only thing Molly's ever asked for is to pray for me. When people say, what can I do for you? She just says 4 words, just pray for me. And that's really all she's wanted.
I have an awesome life. This has not all been bad. You have a couple bad days. Out of 2.5 years, I've probably had 10 days that have really sucked, that you just have to, you just got to shake it off. We've been at Johns Hopkins. We've been at Penn. We've been at Fox Chase. We've been everywhere. And there are some days that really you just get punched in the face. But you have to get away from the doctor's office. You have to get away from the hospital. You have to come back to your house and just start living your life again, and then you're good. I wouldn't trade my life for anything. I have the best husband in the world that, again, to find each other at 16 years old, and we are soulmates. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. And my children, who gets 7 great kids? Like just incredibly great kids, each one in their own different way. Our life is, I wake up happy every day, and I sleep like a baby every night. And whatever happens, happens. But you know what? I'm going to fight it tooth and nail. Like I said before, I will not die of cancer. I will live with cancer every day in my life.